Welcome to LCAP Legacy, Decades of Dedication, the podcast that celebrates the incredible individuals who have shaped the heart and soul of the Lawrence County Community Action Partnership.
Each episode, we'll dive deep into the stories of those who have devoted their careers to making a difference, not just in our organization, but in the lives of the people we serve every day.
We'll uncover their journeys, explore the moments that inspire them, and highlight the lasting impact of their commitment to LCAP's mission.
So whether you're here to learn, be inspired, or simply celebrate the amazing people who make LCAP what it is, thank you for joining us.
This is LCAP Legacy, Decades of Dedication.
Let's get started with today's guest.
You're now listening to LCAP Legacy, Decades of Dedication, and we are back for another episode. And in the studio, of course, I have my wonderful co-host.
Hello, everybody.
As promised, we also have another special guest in the studio, and our special guest this week is Betsy Spargo, and she is the
Head Start and Early Head Start Director.
Thank you so much, Betsy, for joining us in the studio today.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
And how long have you been with LCAP?
Oh, for heaven's sakes. It was July 1st, 2002. That was my start date. So we're approaching a milestone here in less than a month.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So take us to the beginning. Your first day, July 1st, what was that like?
Oh, for heaven's sakes. It was exciting. I was a Head Start director for the very first time on that day. I had previously been a Head Start teacher and an education coordinator and an interim director, but the exciting thing about that time in 2002 was that Lawrence County Social Services became the grantee for the Head Start program in Lawrence County. So it was really like I was stepping over a bridge. From old times to new times with hope and promise, and it's been all of that.
Awesome. Head Start actually just celebrated their 60th anniversary, correct?
No, don't make me that old.
Yes, no, of course not. Of course you're not that old.
Yeah, I've been affiliated with Head Start for, it will be 35 years. So, yes, Head Start just celebrated its 60th birthday, and I think it's a real testament to and that's really what I'm hoping to have a chance to talk about today.
Absolutely.
Is the people I've met, what I've seen that Head Start and any good early childhood program can do for the children and families of Lawrence County. So it's been a good run.
That video, too, was so sweet with the kids singing happy birthday.
Wasn't
to
it,
Head
though?
Start. Chills, yes.
Yes,
tears, too.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was a little goosebumpy. Mm-hmm.
So take us to the beginning. Let's talk about the evolution of, your journey.
So my journey to getting here was, headed into college. Somebody at one point in time had said, you'd make a really great teacher. That's all I did when I was young. I played school, I played library, all of the nerdy things. But I loved it. I enjoyed having an opportunity to have a great education, building relationships with the teachers that I had over years, and what an influence they were on my life. And I guess in a little bit of a selfish way, I wanted to be able to make other people feel the way that I had felt about having the opportunity to go to school and learn new things and meet new people and experience the world. So I gave it a shot. I thought early childhood was the avenue that I wanted to go into, and it turned out being exactly what I should have done. So I worked I worked in for-profit childcare for a little while, and had a couple of different positions within that organization. And then I went to nonprofit childcare, had an opportunity to be an adjunct instructor at YSU along with that job for a little while. And then, believe it or not, I thought, I'm not sure that I want to be an administrator all of my life. So I'm not sure why I'm sitting here right now as an administrator, but I did really have a chance to get my feet wet again as a classroom teacher with direct influence on children and families. And that's what I did when I came to Lawrence County as a teacher and as an education coordinator. So when the opportunity came about to become the Head Start director, I was nervous when I was offered the position, but it was reassuring because Tom Scott and Nancy Welker said, "No, you've got this. You're the person." So it was great. It was a compliment, and had I been a little wiser at that point in time, I might have been more afraid than I was. I don't know, but it's been good. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's awesome that you started in early education, but what made you attracted to early education compared to like some other programming, or maybe when children are a little further on in their life?
Well, it was a high school guidance counselor who said, "I think you'd make a really great teacher." And I'll be honest, I'll go back to those teachers that I had, and my most fond memories were my kindergarten teacher, Miss Nikhazy. I still remember what she smells like and what she looked like, and she was no bigger than a little bit of a thing. She wore her hair in little ponytails, and she had ribbons tied in her hair, and we did all sorts of fun things and had so much fun, and she showed us so much love. And knowing what I know now, looking back on that experience, it was even better than I knew then or felt then, because now I know what a good early childhood teacher is like, and she was the epitome. So I really feel like those early experiences, I'm going to get a little teary, had something to do. That kindergarten teacher, that first grade teacher meant all the difference. I wanted to go to school. I enjoyed school right out of the gate, but it was something about the way they approached their work. Even when I was little, I knew they're very special. They can be very special people to little ones, and wanted to do that for somebody else.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. I wanted to cry too.
Oh, don't cry, Kim.
That's how I feel about our teachers too in our early learning.
Now
They're
you're going to make me
absolutely amazing.
Yeah, those are the kinds of folks that we look for. We can
call them and bother them at any time. Ask questions. They're there. They teach. They love our children.
There are things that you can teach people, but it's those things that you can't teach people. That they need to be that person. You can't make someone that person. So, yes, thank you for that compliment.
It's in their heart.
Yes.
You have amazing, amazing teachers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Betsy, what are the biggest leadership lessons that you've learned in your role over time?
And again, I'm just going to say that it's what I've learned from other people. I heard Tom Scott say one time to me, if you surround yourself with the right people, you always look good. So I have tried to, when I can, find the people that, I find myself gravitating towards when I'm, looking from within, to make suggestions for new positions or promotions, or even when I'm looking for people that we don't yet know, looking for the best and the brightest, to surround us with people that are like-minded and want to join in this goal that we have of making this a great opportunity for children as they head into kindergarten. So, yeah.
And how do you ensure that Head Start continues to meet the evolving needs of children and families in our community?
Oh, that is what gets me up in the morning. That's what keeps me up at night. I feel like I'm just spouting quotes, but this is another good one. I was at a training one time, and the speaker said, even if you're on the right track, if you don't keep moving, eventually the train's going to run you over. So I think that that's a really great connection to the question that you just asked me, Janae. How are we sure we're doing the right thing? You can't keep doing what you've always done, because eventually it's not going to be the right thing. So we're called to know what our community is like, how it's changing, what its strengths are, what the opportunities are where we can, fill in the gaps with whatever it is that we have to offer, and continue to form great relationships with our community partners, including school districts, helping them to understand what it is that we do better, wanting to know better what it is that they do, and finding where that middle is, that we can all have, again, that shared vision, that same goal, which is children wanting to go to school, happy to go to school, wanting to learn, being comfortable leaving their families. So continued conversations, continued relationships, building new relationships, and knowing what's going on in Lawrence County, looking at data. Where, does the population that we're meant to serve, where are they living right now? And is that moving? Or, what are the latest trends in what it is that we're seeing that's going on with our children and families, and trying to keep our thumbs on that. And we can't be the problem solvers for everything, but we can see what's happening and involve other people and have conversations and jointly try to work together to try to bridge those gaps.
Thank you, Betsy, because that was one of my questions. So you answered that pretty.
It's like I knew what your questions were going to be.
Yeah. So I have another one, though, for you.
Okay.
So how do you approach building a strong team and culture among your staff and your educators?
It goes back to, I'm just full of quotes again today, but this is a Nancy Welkerism. Nancy is all about, it doesn't do you any good if you don't have a relationship. And it starts with the children, and it starts with their families, and it starts with the people that you go to work with every day. And I think it's being willing to be seen as a human being, not just a coworker. We don't have a lot of time. I wish we had more time to get to know each other as human beings. But as long as you make some time for that, and you can appreciate and recognize that everybody comes to work every day with something, you don't have to know what it is, but if you can remember that everybody's coming to work with something, you can be just that much more tolerant, that much more patient, that much more forgiving. People listening to this are probably going to say, she's crazy, because that's not how she is. I try. I guess I'm going to say that is my goal every day. And that's what I would want for everyone to think about when they come to work every day, is I have to remember that these people are humans. And we're working with humans, little ones and big ones. It's that whole iceberg theory. You can only see the tippy top of what's going on with people. What's underneath. You might not need to know what's going on underneath, but you have to remember that there's a big old hunk of that iceberg that's under the water that you can't see, but you have to respect, because everybody has a big old hunk of an iceberg under the water.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you also are human yourself. So how do you juggle being the director of Head Start?
People who have known me for a while will know that I get up extra early in the morning, and it's not, there are periods of time where that means, I'll jump on the treadmill. But then there are other people who know me even better who say, no, that's for your second cup of coffee. That's for before the phone starts to ring, before it's too noisy at home, whatever. Like I know I have that quiet time every day. And I think that helps me get my head on right before I come in. Or at least I try to use that time to get my head on right. And I try to have strategies. I like to garden. I like to cook. I like to spend time with my family. And as I get older, that becomes more and more important, because there are fewer and fewer of them. Recognizing that, life is bigger than the job, but boy, the job is important. So, being ready to do that job every day with my head in the right place, I think. Yeah.
And if you had unlimited resources, what is one initiative you would launch tomorrow to better serve the children and the families that we serve?
Boy, I wish I could find a big old pot of money to do a lot of things. But I wish we could find more people who wanted to do this work. And we had more money to be able to hire more people who wanted to do this work, so that our classroom sizes were a little bit smaller in terms of number of children, increase the number of adults available to each child, those sorts of things. Because as hard as the world is for us as adults right now, we are old enough to develop what you just asked about, Janae. What are your coping skills? How do you manage these little ones that come to our program, or any early childhood program in this big old world right now? They don't know what they feel, but they feel what we feel. Mm-hmm. They don't know that it is stress. They don't know that it is everything that is going on that is just making everything so complicated. Individual time with kids, when they need it and when they don't need it, so that they always know that we're there for them. And that takes bodies, not just bodies who want to do this work and want to learn how to do it well. That's what I wish. A pot of money that we could hire as many people as we needed, to have as many people as we needed.
And I think it is important to highlight, there are so many different changes when it comes to younger kids nowadays, like conversations about mental health and maybe kids being on the spectrum. Those conversations weren't being had 20 years ago. So how do you approach them now when you are looking at the different programs that you may want to offer students?
The conversations weren't being had, but it was happening. Not to the degree that it is happening right now, but I can remember as a new classroom teacher, mental health consultation for early childhood programs was in its infancy. People didn't really understand how to do it. I can remember the first time that I had a mental health consultant try to observe in my classroom. That poor observer ended up leaving my classroom and watching through the window because they couldn't believe what they were seeing out of the young lady that person was there to see. Mm-hmm. And later that person said to me, I never knew that a 3-year-old could do what I saw that child do or not do or whatever. So it's always been out there, but it is so much more difficult because the proportion of the number of children who are experiencing some sort of special need, whatever that special need is just so much greater. So what we can do is we can continue to put our head down and do the work and show people how important it is for young children to have experiences, to show what it means to be tolerant, to individualize, and to not give up. I think that not giving up part, it gets hard to not give up for anybody that's involved in those sorts of situations. But we'll keep coming back to the table as long as, a family or a community partner wants to keep having this conversation. It doesn't have to be perfect in the end. But we need to keep trying to see how much better we can make it.
Absolutely.
And I always tell a lot of, the people that we serve that our schools are absolutely amazing. Our teachers are wonderful, but we also have family service workers that help with our family. So if there's any needs that a family may need, that's where they come along. So that's a great addition that we have that a lot of other places do not have.
And I really hope that piece never goes away, because that is really the crux of where we make a difference. We can impact a child, for the 4, 5, 6 hours a day, 10 hours a day, if they're in a childcare classroom when they're with us. But it's engaging the family and helping them understand that they are truly the child's first and most important forever teacher and influence. So come to the table with us, have the conversation with us, help formulate the plan for whatever it is that your child could benefit from, and be a part of the team. And that's where the most long-lasting effects come.
And is there a particular story or a child that has stayed with you throughout the years?
Oh, I have to pick one.
You don't have to pick one. If you have multiple.
Out of thousands and thousands, probably.
There are several that stand out. I have, some sad stories. I have some happy stories. I won't tell you the sad stories, but I think everybody has sad stories. I've been lucky to work with families that have welcomed me into their circle of acquaintances, and I tell this story still to this day. I can remember a family, back when I first started in the classroom, $1 probably could have bought a dozen eggs and a loaf of bread, and that could have been breakfast for that family for probably a week, or the most of a week. And we were having something at, the center that day, and the children were asked to bring in, a small, amount of, pocket change to buy a gift for a family member that they wanted to honor in that way. And I remember getting a letter from one of the mothers, probably one of the mothers of the 19 children in my classroom, that didn't have that $1 to put in the envelope and write me the note. But it was make sure that everybody in the room has something. And I thought, so that's not a child story, but that's a family story. That stays with me to this day. I think that is what has impressed me the most about this work. It's not about, it is. It's about the kids, but it's about the families, and it's about how loving and giving people can be if you give them a chance to show that. You know, if you help break down walls and are open and communicative. And I think sometimes that's what gets lost in our work because it's so busy and it's so stressful and it's so chaotic sometimes. Remembering back to that, making time for relationships and making time to slow down and remember the bigger picture. I still remember that family. And I don't think that I still have that note, but I kept it for a long time. Love that little guy. Love that mom. Love that family who made that sacrifice because they wanted everybody to have a chance. Yeah.
One of the main things of our podcast is legacy. And I like to ask these guests, once you are done here at LCCAP, what are you hoping that your legacy will be?
I hope that my legacy is I never gave up. The people that I supervised a number of years ago, I gave little paperweights to, and it said, never, never, never give up. We're all lost if we give up. It doesn't mean that we can make everything 100% better. It doesn't mean that you're going to be absolutely 100% happy at the end of the day. You're not going to make everybody 100% happy at the end of the day. But when you can go home at the end of the day and you can know that you worked your hardest, that to me is what I would want for everyone to feel about how they show people that they care about them. Don't ever give up on the work. Don't ever give up on your coworkers. Don't ever give up on the children. Don't ever give up on the families. There's always a little crack, you know, that the door is open, that you can maybe not make things perfect in the end, but you can make them a little bit better. That I want to be my legacy.
That's a great answer.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that with
you.
us. But before we let you leave, of course, we got to make our way to the next round. And what that round is that our quick fire round. And how that works is we're going to ask you a series of questions, and then you'll just respond with whatever comes
Stream
to your
of consciousness.
Yes.
Okay, Here we go.
All right. So, Kim, if you want to go ahead and start it off.
I sure will. So, Betsy, if you could switch jobs with anyone here at LCCAP for a day, who would it be and why would it be that person?
So I've always said, if you've been at Head Start or at LCCAP this long, you probably know how to do all of the jobs. So I really feel like I love it when I have an opportunity to play receptionist or to answer the phone at Ben Franklin. You never know what you're going to get when you pick up the phone, but I love to be the first voice. Is it are the ends of my words always up? The first face, the first voice, I tell the staff that work in the office, they can hear you smile, you know. So I love to have a chance to do that every day or to be at the counter and greet guests. So I can't believe that I just said I would want to work in the front office, but there, I just said it.
Well, it's so nice, especially to see the kids walk in every day and get so excited to see you and start their day.
And learn their names. And families love it when you look like you love their kids because they can tell who loves their kids.
Yes.
And then they love you. Yes.
Yes.
And what is your favorite child book or children's book?
Madeline. Madeline. I don't know if you know the story about Madeline. There's a whole series of Madeline books. So, yes, there's a story to this one, too. You should not have had me on this because I could go on forever. So, back to my early childhood experiences in school, I had an elementary school librarian that I must have been in a little bit of a rut with the books that I was looking at or choosing from the school library. And I can remember Mrs. McCullough coming to me and she said, Betsy, I've got the perfect book for you. You're going to love it. It's about a brave little girl who is the leader of all of her friends. And I would like to think that she saw something in me that she thought I could identify. And it turns out that Madeline is this brave little girl who isn't afraid of anything and is willing to try everything. And she just stands up, and one of the lines in the book is, Madeline says, poo-poo. You're not, what Madeline meant by that was, I'm fine. Leave me alone. I've got this, and I would love to think that Mrs. McCullough saw that in me.
Nice.
I see that in you.
Well, thanks.
Yes, I do. And she saw it at a very young age.
Thanks. That was, I think, 3rd grade. Yeah.
Yeah. Love that. And then what is something that you always wanted to do but have not had time yet to do so?
Travel. Oh, that was easy. Love to travel. Don't want to get into a rut of where I travel to, but I love a good beach. And I love when I was young, my family, we didn't go to the beach. We didn't go to amusement parks. We went to historical sites. I was the boring child who got to come back to school every fall and say, first day of school, what did you do this summer? And my answer was always, we went to Philadelphia and saw the Liberty Bell, or we went to Gettysburg, or we went to Washington, D.C. And, everybody else had great stories about the beach and Cedar Point and all of those things. But boy, am I glad I had those experiences now.
Yes.
So I want to keep seeing the things that I've never seen before. I'm excited to be able to do that. Yeah, at some point.
And if you could describe your time here at LCCAP in one word, what would it be?
There are so many that come to my mind, but I think what I think every day is ever-changing. Nothing is constant. It's a new experience every day. Even though you're doing the same work, it's with different people and under different circumstances, and I would be bored out of my mind if I was in a cubicle and had to have my head down and not talk to anybody, not see anyone, not have new challenges to face every day. And again, I can't believe I'm saying that. But it's a good reason to get up every morning because you know that there will be something else that you can put your best effort behind and hopefully make things a little better.
And we learn every day here, too.
We do learn every day.
Every day.
We are lifelong learners, aren't we?
We are.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Janae.
Well, yes, we appreciate you joining us here on the podcast and telling us about your story and your journey here with LCCAP. And it's been magical just listening.
Aw, thanks, ladies.
Happy.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening in to another episode. And of course, next week we'll be back with another special guest.
Have a wonderful week, everyone.